I'm ashamed to admit that I've never really done a video showing you how to do math flashcards the true RC way, the way that is spelled out by Dr. Robinson himself in the RC course of study. I mean, I guess I didn't think it was really gonna work. And mixing up all 4 operations into one stack? My OCD brain. Anybody else? But it's not about us. It's about getting 705 math facts into your children's long-term memory before they start Saxon 5-4 in the most direct route possible. If you have ever found yourself in this situation,
I finished these.
You finished your last division stack. You've memorized all your math facts. That's awesome. You know what? Just for fun, let's go back to a previous stack. Do you remember what 9 times 12 is?
I don't remember.
No!
It didn't go into their long-term memory. Or if this subject is a major pain point for you, or you find yourself helping them along the way, or you just need encouragement in this area, then stay tuned. Hi, Karen here, and if you'd like to go from questions to confidence when it comes to the Robinson curriculum, then consider subscribing. I hope to answer in this video a lot of frequently asked questions when it comes to memorizing the math facts and give you the confidence that you need to try this method that is outlined in the RC course of study. Now, before I unleash the secret sauce here, I'm gonna ask you to please smash that like button so I can break through the YouTube algorithm and make all the hours that I spend investing in these videos even more worth it. So thank you. All right, so let's dive in and talk about what did Dr. Robinson actually do? What is this method? A scientist, a widower, working from home with 6 children. Do you think he took the time to sit down and help them memorize their math facts or divide them up into little chunks to make it all nice and organized for them? No. Ain't nobody got time for that? He didn't have time for that. See, his philosophy is that early in life, each person needs to acquire study habits and the necessary abilities and self-confidence to teach himself. Otherwise, he will be unable to learn effectively on his own later on in life. This included the math memorization process. Now, parents often wonder, do we start with Saxon 1, 2, and 3? No, the true RC model is just memorizing math facts before starting Saxon 5-4, which is traditionally meant to be a 5th grade or advanced 4th grader textbook. Anything where children come to depend on you leading them along the way is only going to be a hindrance later to this self-taught methodology that is the Robinson curriculum. Saxon 1, 2, and 3 contain a lot of busy work and work that includes the parents sitting with the child, helping them along the way, spoon feeding them the lesson, which in turn they later depend on. This is no bueno when it comes to a self-taught philosophy. The truth is that Saxon math books 1, 2, and 3 would merely delay your child's learning until he or she is as far behind as the children in public school. Now, Dr. Robinson requests in his course of study, if you do nothing else from how RC is structured, at least follow his procedure when it comes to teaching mathematics, at least that part. Now, simply put, when a child is ready, and that's around the ages of 5 for girls or 6 for boys, but this will vary with each child, obviously, then they are ready for phonics lessons for you to teach them how to read phonetically and for them to memorize all their math tables, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division by rote memory. Now, RC comes with flashcards as far as printing them from either the CDs or online. You can print them, laminate them if you want to, or you can save yourself a lot of time, energy, work by just purchasing them. These are the actual RC ready-made flashcards. They're nice and durable. I love how big they are. There's nothing distracting on them. It's just one problem for each flashcard, and they are color-coded. Subtraction is red, for example, multiplication is green, and so on. I love these flashcards, and I will leave a link down below. I do think they're different from just the kind that you could purchase on Amazon or the dollar store because they go up a lot higher than just the average 12 for all operations. Now, arithmetic can be learned entirely on their own with only your occasional guidance. Dr. Robinson cautions, do not sit with them as they memorize their math facts. The mental dependency fostered in this way will later be a crutch to self-learning. The child should learn these by instantaneous, non-thinking, just total recall, rote memory, meaning no counting or little nines tricks or things like that. Now here's a common question that I get a lot, especially if they're starting, right at age 5 and you're giving them these. Do they even understand what they're doing? So even Dr. Robinson says that during the first few months, it's perfectly fine for a child to play around with coins or an abacus like I show in my RC course for littles, where they can actually see the concept, see what addition is, see what subtraction is. That's exactly what I do with the Raise Arithmetic book that is included with the RC bonuses to give a child this visual so they kind of see what they're doing. That's perfectly fine. It's also perfectly fine for a child to take 1 whole year to memorize all these math facts. This is the only skill that they need in addition to knowing how to read in order to start 5-4, which again is a 5th grade textbook. So even if you think this process is really slow, you're still going to be way ahead of your public school, private school counterparts. Now, after they grasp and understand the 4 operations, it's time to take away those crutches, the pennies, the manipulatives, the abacus, and they have to start doing the work of memorizing the math facts, which is exactly the same approach that I take with the RC course for littles. I've just never really showed this method of memorizing the math facts. All right, so let me show you exactly how this method breaks down. Now, for the beginning student, math flashcards are gradually added in with the problems using smaller numbers added first. This is just like the guide that I have created. However, he goes on to say, do not give them all just addition or all just subtraction and so on. Fail. He wants you to add all 4 operations simultaneously and slowly increase the number of cards that you give them so as not to completely overwhelm them. Now here's one incentive that Dr. Robinson works really well, and I could vouch for it also that it does motivate them along the way. And it involves this cheap little timer from Amazon. You can buy a pack of 2 for I think $10, well worth the investment. So at the start of their session, they simply hit start on the timer and they keep track of their time as they go through their stack. They look at it. If they get the answer right, then they put it in their right pile. If they get the answer wrong, then they put it in their wrong pile. And on they go as they go through the whole stack. Now, once they get to the end of the stack, they will then take the pile that they got wrong and do it again. Right pile, wrong pile, and keep going. And then take that wrong pile again and keep going until all the cards are done in the correct pile. And then they stop the timer and see how long it took them. Now this is very similar to what I showed in my RC board for littles, except I never really used a timer, and I could tell you it does make a difference. It does make it more of a game for the child. Now to be clear, Dr. Robinson recommends that you not start timing them until all the math facts have been added in for one ginormous pile. But I find that even with large chunks as they go along, this is still just really fun for them to do. Well, as fun as memorizing math facts can be, right? Now here's what I mean about fun and an incentive is they try to break their record. See, whatever time it took them to get through all the math facts, right? They try to beat their record, and if they do, they get to take the next day off. They won't have to do math facts the next day. Then the day after that, as they go through the pile again, they're trying to beat their previous record, and on and on. Every time that they beat their record, they get the following day off. I really believe now that that repetition and mixing up all the operations is just the quickest, most effective way to get all these over 700 math facts into your children's long-term memory. Now, if you're out there thinking to yourself, I just hate flashcards, there must be another way. Well, let me just share with you, there's actually another reason why we use flashcards with RC. See, these flashcards have an added value, and that is that your students come to appreciate flashcards, which can be very useful later on. For example, they're going to have thousands of vocabulary flashcards. Also, you can use flashcards if you're trying to learn something that's really hard when it comes to math. You can read more about it in the Overnight Student, and I'll make a video on that later on as well. They are quite useful even outside the academic day. For example, my kids use flashcards to memorize music notes. So they just come to appreciate flashcards in general instead of just dreading them. Now, I just want to caution you here, and I know I've been there myself, that just keep in mind that a lot of these learning apps or games or creative fun ways to go about this can actually hinder the learning of mathematics later on. See, Dr. Robinson cautions that this could foster a sort of dependency that later on is hard to break, or the child comes to assume that everything will be made fun for them. So imagine you're going from maybe a really fun approach to memorizing math facts to now sitting in front of a Saxon 5-4 math book alone with no one to help you, and it's certainly not interactive or fun. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you're out there thinking, Karen, that is just way too radical. There's no way I'm giving my child over 700 math facts in one sitting with a timer and saying, have fun. Not gonna happen. All right, I hear you. That's why I'm keeping my math module in my RC course for littles. I'm keeping the original one where I talk about and discuss all the different ways that you can, memorize math facts, from writing them down, from books, from apps and websites, my RC board for littles, and even my own method where I systematically broke them all down into little chunks to master as they go along. I adapted that from the core knowledge series, what every first grader should know, second grader, and so on. So I'm going to keep that module there because I know a lot of parents really like it. I've gotten a lot of great feedback. However, I'm going to add another module, a 2.0 math module, where I use this method only, but I'm still keeping the Razor arithmetic and those first few lessons because I think there's a lot of value in that. I think even Dr. Robinson would agree. Parents like me, we like a step-by-step. I like someone just telling me in a guide, hey, teach them how to count from 1 to 10, 1 to 100, skip counting, counting by 10. It's just the math fact memorization. I'm only going to use this method. So for all you RC purists out there, you're really gonna like that. So you don't have to do anything else. Everyone who bought the course will get that as well. So stay tuned for that email if you've purchased my course. And if you haven't already, you can read reviews about it on rccourseforlittles.com. Check it out. It's just a very simple step-by-step way to get your child from learning their ABCs, counting 1, 2, 3s, all the way to Saxon 5-4, writing a daily essay, and starting the RC book list in vocabulary. So I invite you to check it out. I will also leave in the description below links to where you can purchase these awesome timers and flashcards, so check that out. So how did I do? Did I convince you to give this method a try? Please comment your thoughts down below, and don't forget to smash that like button. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate each and every one of you, each and every comment, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.